Loyola Marymount professor Michael Genovese is here to help sort all of this out. Now, we just heard the president say that he will bring this up with Vladimir Putin when they're set to meet on Monday. Do you think he needs to do more than bring this up?
Oh, he does. I know that there are a number of people who are saying that he should cancel the meeting. I would continue with the meeting, but I think the president has to stand up and say, we've been attacked, you're responsible, we have the evidence, we have the proof, and for every time you take an act, we will correspond by upping sanctions. We will get NATO together. NATO is not very keen on President Trump right now after the terrible, humiliating week that he had there, a few days he had there. But I think this is the time when we need the United States and NATO to be together and to go after Putin, go after Russia. He's reluctant to do that. The president is very keen on trashing our allies, but very soft on Putin. And the question is, what does Putin have on the president that makes him behave this way? It's irrational, it's wrong, and it's against all the evidence.
Well, it was a really busy week for the president, visiting Brussels for a NATO meeting, then on to London, then a meeting with Vladimir Putin. Let's take them one by one. How did the president fare in the very contentious NATO meeting?
Yeah, never a dull moment with this president. I mean, he's action-oriented. NATO was a disaster. He went there and literally just trashed our allies. Went after Angela Merkel personally, accusing her of being, as in his words, totally controlled by the Russians. The president likes to be on offense. He believes the best defense is a good offense, and people are accusing him of being on the side of Russia. So by accusing Germany right off the bat, saying, "Oh no, you're being controlled by Russia," it deflects it from the attention on him. But he goes after our allies, went after Angela Merkel, and went after Theresa May afterwards. Why is he going after the strong women and leaving Putin alone? The president got into a series of fights in the NATO meeting, and it ended with the president saying it was a great victory, and the countries of NATO saying, well, no, it wasn't, and we didn't agree to the things the president said. So it was a humiliating week, almost as if we were being shaved by a drunken barber.
Now, of course, Great Britain has been one of our longest-running allies, but he went to meet with Prime Minister Theresa May, and there were protests, and they've had a somewhat tumultuous relationship. What do you think he accomplished in his visit to England? He
humiliated himself and my country. He did an interview with the Sun newspaper in which he utterly trashed Theresa May, threw her under the bus, backed up the bus and ran over her again. And then when confronted at the press conference, he said, I didn't say those things. I didn't criticize you. It's fake news. Then they played him the tape and he goes, well, maybe I said something and I didn't really mean it. It was just a terrible thing. He was aiding the forces of the opposition, Boris Johnson, who just resigned, and undermining the government of our friend, a friend that we need, a friend that we will need if we confront Russia.
But do you think that we can kind of get some of this back together? I mean, can we piece it back together?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't lost the game. I mean, we're still in the beginning of the game, but the president needs to basically step up his game, as has been said in the previous piece. The president has to decide whose side he's going to defend. Is he going to be the great defender of America and Americans' interests? We were attacked. And how did the president respond? He blamed Barack Obama. Oh, it happened on his watch, not on my watch. Well, he should be blaming Vladimir Putin and Russia. They're the ones who attacked the United States. They're the ones who are the threat. Why isn't he going after them the way he goes after Merkel and Obama and May?
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you for your insight, Professor, as always.
Thank you.
Wait and see what happens, as we always do.